Hey guys, my name's Chris and this is Financial Fitness and I'm on with OnSite Trav.
What's up, guys?
So everybody's been asking me about my XRP sign up here.
Chilling, bro.
Yeah, it's just kind of hanging out back there. And I really don't want to shill coins. I don't really want to try to talk people into buying cryptocurrencies. That's not really what my channel's about. But let me go back. When they deploy these CBDCs,
yeah,
and all these different countries, Mexico just came out with one, China's already got one. We're dragging our feet because I don't think the United States knows which way to go on this deal, being the reserve currency and all. So when this happens, they're going to ride on something.
I see what you're saying. What you're saying, there needs to be some rails for this thing to roll on.
XRP acts as a bridge currency to facilitate cross-border payments. For example, Bank A will convert its fiat to XRP and use XRP as a bridge currency to exchange with the fiat currency of Bank B. In this case, XRP takes over the US dollar function as a base currency, but only much cheaper and without foreign conversion fees.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you're going to be able to send the US dollar to China and turn it to yuan or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Something has to happen there to make that work. That's
what XRP does. It can do cross-border payments in 3 to 5 seconds for less than a penny.
Mm-hmm.
The SWIFT system's a nightmare. We've been dealing with it since 1979. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And it only makes sense that technology is going to, prevail on this thing. You put a little money on something that could be something big, and it goes to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And if it goes to nothing, then you didn't lose that much.
That's very true. I mean, I guess at this point, XRP price is pretty low relative to its former price. Like it's like 85 cents at the moment, which is not, so for a speculation, and I would deem like a speculation like 1% of your net worth, it's probably a decent spec. You're like a $10,000 guy and you got $100, or what would that be? $100 riding on that thing. Okay. You're $1 million guy, you got 10 grand riding on that thing. Like it has a lot of upside, and the downside is it never goes anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
That's
not a big deal.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is, and a lot of cryptos are known for that. I mean, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is the SEC is beating it up. They have had it under investigation for over a year. And that raises every little contrarian flag in my head. Why would they be doing it to the XRP and not doing it to Bitcoin and Ethereum? Why does everything else get a pass and this one token is being held back?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with that?
Well, it's interesting because you said this today, and I said to my wife, I'm like, I've been thinking about XRP for a minute. And I mean, I acquired some when it was first under investigation, I think at like the 25 cent level. And I just picked up some because I had some extra cash in my account. I bought some Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever else I bought. And I just had this extra chunk there. And I like to most of the time be fully invested because I keep plowing in every month. And I was like, it's so cheap. And it was coming off of Coinbase at the time. And everyone knew that it was going to come off of Coinbase. So I was like, well, let me go ahead and buy some because that was the trading exchange I was using at that moment. And so I picked some up and I moved it over to my wallet, and it was lightning quick. And I was like, this is interesting because it really was like fast. And it gave me the ability to email it as well. So it was like, it was email it, download it with a link, hit it to your wallet. And I was like, all right, this is kind of nice, because if anyone's ever sent Bitcoin to themselves, man, you can wait for an hour sometimes. And you're just like, oh no, I should have only sent $50. I shouldn't have sent $1,000. I should have sent 20, like whatever number you send, millions. I mean, the cool thing about it is you can send literally $1 billion in like an hour or two if you want to on Bitcoin, which is amazing. But that lag time makes it more. It needs a secondary car, if you will. Like it's kind of like a bottom layer of granite, because all this stuff is kind of very video game-ish. You have to mentally conceptualize this to understand where these things might be going. Right. So if you're already past the point of like, oh, cryptocurrency is a scam, and if you're beyond that, if you're like, if you're not listening to that FUD, because in the last 13 years, it's been the best performing asset class out there. And when you look at everything that's going on in the world, I don't see the alternative play. So we talk about, like, sometimes you hear things, oh, the whole world's going to collapse and we're going to go back to using silver and gold and copper. And like, that'd be cool, like physically, but how do I buy stuff on Amazon? You know, like, I don't think Amazon's going anywhere. And so I think that there's going to be this migration over the next 10 years of like, well, the fiat dollars keep losing value in every currency in the world, but crypto keeps getting better and better and performing well. And so people will just slowly transition to crypto. And then 20 years from now, we'll wake up and it'll be like an 80% crypto world.
Yeah. It's a Jeff Booth. Have you ever listened to him?
Yeah, I've read his book as well.
Yeah. I haven't read his book, but I listen to him speak a lot. And one of the analogies was holding two magnets apart, you know,
Yep.
exponential growth. When you get so close, it's so fast.
Yes.
The internet, nobody thought it was going to run our life 20 years ago. You know, it would send an email. You know, it wasn't a big deal. And now it's like everything. And that's what I feel like these cryptocurrencies are going to be. We don't know which ones, you know, it's real speculative. So it's very volatile. And I would not have it any other way. But what I don't understand is being all in on gold and nothing else, or all in on Bitcoin and nothing else. I can't understand that. That's, to me, that's being very close-minded.
I had a friend of mine tell me, like, about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, it changed my financial life. He said, Trav, I have financial buckets. When money comes in my account, this goes into my truck bucket. This goes into my housing bucket. This goes into my fun and boat bucket. You know, this goes into my vacation bucket. This goes into my investing bucket, et cetera, et cetera. I have always done that. If I sell a motorcycle, it goes into my toy account, goes into my boat account. If I sell a boat, it goes into my boat account. You know, like, it just stays there. And if I exit a business or something like that, or I sell something and I have a gain, sometimes I'll increase the fun toy account. But if I sell, you know, like, we've got a piece of real estate or something like that, we sell that, it stays in the real estate account. You know, we're not buying a Ferrari with it. Like, we keep it like that. I forgot exactly where I was going with that. Like, right before we said, or right before, what was the question that you had right before that?
Right before, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, as far as
we were talking about exponential growth. I was talking about
how it crosses over, right?
Yeah.
So yes, it's speculative at this point in time, but the entire space is literally less than the market cap of Apple computers. The entire crypto space. So if you looked at, like, Facebook, Apple, Tesla, and then crypto, and just stuffed XRP, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything in there, just carried a basket called crypto, it's the only thing there. And you could say at this moment, possibly it's overvalued. It might be. We don't really know. Hindsight will be 2020. But it's the only bridge I see to getting over this end of this debt cycle hurdle that we have. I don't see how else we do this.
That's that, man. You said a mouthful, because if the USA bans crypto for some reason, they're going to lose out. They don't really have a leg to stand on as it is. When you're printing $1 trillion a month, you know, it would be nice to just be able to adopt another system.
Yep.
You know, and when China bans it, they've banned it 6 or I don't know, a bunch of times.
Yeah.
They're out.
Yeah, they're out.
All that's going to go somewhere else.
It's great. So it'd be like us banning the internet in 1994.
Yeah, right.
Like, okay,
exactly.
Good luck.
Exactly.
Like, good luck with that. like you know.
And it sounds good to go back to the gold standard and everybody's going to be shekeling silver and gold. I don't believe that. There's not enough of it. Yeah. You know, it would make so much sense to revalue the dollar, go to a CBDC, or revalue gold. Sorry, go revalue gold, go to a CBDC, and this would ship it around the world. Mm-hmm. Because it is the banker's token. It is not decentralized at all.
Yeah, no. But to your point, that's what's interesting about it. I hope that we don't, like my XRP holdings, I hope we don't live in a world where XRP is amazingly successful. Because what that means is that we do have CDB, and to break that word down, what we're referring to is central bank digital currencies. And the US is hesitant to do it because we have a very large baby boomer population, and they're going to be relatively uncomfortable with everything being on the phone, though most banking is online now. But when you take cash out of society for financial inclusion, it's very globalist. And they may have used up a lot of their chips on the poker table with this illness thing the last 2 years. Like, I don't know how much social capital they have left, because everybody has a little bit of social capital. It's like if you and I were going out to dinner and I was an hour late, you'd be like, oh, Trav, that's okay. You know, but if I did that a third time or a fourth time, you'd be like, I'm just not going to invite Trav. Right. And so we're kind of at that spot where they've burned a lot of their social capital. I mean, they lost a war this year. They lost another war to the virus. Right. If you look at it, like as far as what they spent and the actual costs of it. And then at the end of it, they just surrendered to it and said, oh, well, it's a state issue. Now that we've completely gummed up everything, we got supply ships sitting off the coast of all the places, you know, like now that everything's just a complete mess, you can't buy brake pads or air filters. Well, that's not really a big thing anymore. We're just not going to count it anymore. There's a difference between people in the hospital with it and people with it because of it. Like, yeah, we've been saying that the whole time, man, you know? But so, I mean, I think as a speculation, it's interesting. Also, you and I were speaking earlier. One thing I find interesting about XRP is that I can't pronounce Buchan's, the founder of Ethereum.
About starts with V.
Yeah, well, he's the only guy left because he had a bunch of co-founders and they've all left to go do different projects, ADA or Polkadot, or they've left to go do other projects. But he was rejected for an internship, I believe, because of a passport issue, because he's a Canadian citizen, he's Russian Canadian, and he couldn't get in as an intern for Ripple.
Oh, wow.
And so he originally wanted to, and he's the kid that had Bitcoin Magazine and whatnot in 2011. And so he originally wanted to go work for Ripple. So whatever they were working on at the time was obviously of interest to him. And then he left and did Ethereum, and that really worked out well. I saw an interview with his dad, and his dad said that was the best thing that ever happened to our family, was that he got rejected, whether through travel visas or through internship or however that worked. The internship never came to anything. And so he ended up falling into creating Ethereum, and there it is. But it does raise my contrarian spidey senses, because I love things when they're hated. Like anything that is hated, I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Yeah. And case in point, if you think coal is going nowhere, look at what coal's done the last 2 years. You want to hate it? Coal's outperforming Bitcoin in the last 18 months. If you buy Peabody Energy or something like that, right? And you would think, like, how's that possible? And all these companies have no competitors. So I think anyone should do their own research and think through it. But I do think that we will eventually live in a world where the central banks will have to have a digital currency. That scares the hell out of me, because that means that we can do behavioral economics. So we can do the like button on crack. And that really concerns me. I mean, we were at a restaurant this afternoon, and some dude's getting off his boat, young kid with his parents. His parents are going ahead of him. He's putting his hat, playing with his glasses, trying to get his Instagram picture just right. And I'm just like, man, that's the world we live in,
Wow. Yeah, it's so different now, and it's getting faster and faster and faster.
But it's that like button, it's like that social inclusion. It's the fact that you want to go to a restaurant with 6 people and look down at your phone for the entire time. But that's where people deem that the value is. My concern is that they could do this with economics, where they could say, hey, if you spend this amount of money by 30 days, you get X amount. If you hold it for more than 2 years, you get taxed on it, or it disappears, or we can shut you down, or if you're under investigation. Because the unfortunate thing is we live at a time where it feels like you're guilty until proven guilty.
Yeah.
Instead of, so my concern is that it gives them a lot of power. And if you remove cash from society, you do lose a lot of privacy and a lot of convenience. Like every time we have a hurricane down here in the South, we always go to the bank and grab a bunch of cash out if we don't have enough already sitting in the safe, right. Just because, hey, the power's out for 3 weeks or something like that, you're gonna need some cash. Go to the grocery store, so it's an interesting spec. I think at this price point, what's the worst case that happens? It doesn't go anywhere.
Well, it's so interesting because, all right, look, CBD comes, this thing moves, XRP moves it, so fast, so cheap.
Yeah.
There's 100 banks that are already signed up with Ripple.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a light on moment. They're holding it down. They're investigating it a lot like silver. You could argue, so that's kind of eye opening too. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not going to ever tell you to buy anything. I just think it's very interesting. You might check it out. And I know you guys hate crypto. A lot of you just hate it, are not willing to open up your mind to it, but that's okay too. Do you. Mm-hmm. But it ought to be, we live in a different environment now. Technology doubles every 18 months. Now that's freaking scary.
It did.
It doesn't now.
Yes, I thought the same thing till last month, and my buddies red pilled me on that, and they're like, "No, buddy, that was 2017. It turned into an S curve." So I asked my old college professor, and she said, "Yeah, Trav, that's true." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So actually, we would think we had this mindset that we're going to be like terraforming Mars in a few years, and we're going to be like taking our Teslas around Mars and stuff like that with Elon.
I'm still waiting for my jetpack. Really?
Well, dude, I'm still waiting for the Moeller flying sky car from my childhood. I was on the mail list to get the updates every quarter from Moeller, and that car never happened. And I mean, I followed it for 20 years.
So you're saying we're not there yet?
I'm saying that I think, and this is contrary to what people think, but I think that this idea, this techno utopia, is garbage, and it's a distraction. And in about 5 or 10 years, it's going to be obvious. I mean, look, but I do think, as far as money and digits on a screen, we have the capabilities to do that. Self-driving cars that don't crash into things, it's pretty far out.
Yeah. I've ridden in a few of them, and it's unbelievable. It's unreal.
Cool. It's cool, but
so much power.
But you can't take your eye off the road if you've got it on the self-assist mode. Like it's not like sit in the back seat of your Tesla thing.
Not yet.
No, not yet. I mean, but to your point there, Moore's law turned into an S curve in 2017. So technically, Moore's law has been broken at this point. Maybe it's just because it's something doubles and doubles and doubles for 30 years in a row. It gets hard to keep going.
Sure.
I mean, Kathy Wood supports that. Like, that we're, the next 5 years are going to be insane because of the exponential doubling. But also, it just happens to be at the bottom of this debt cycle, at the bottom of this technology cycle. I mean, if you were to stack cycles on top of cycles on top of cycles, man, everything's converging in the mid-20s. So to your point, I do think XRP, the banker's coin, I don't see any other coin there that's really the banker's coin. Yeah. And I think that's an interesting phrasing. Okay. What is the banker's coin?
Yeah, that is so. If you can get in line, I'm not saying get in line with the central bankers, but we use cash. If you want to talk about Ponzi schemes, cash is the number one Ponzi scheme, and your 401k is probably the next.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like, keep your money here and we won't tax you unless the rules change, and heaven forbid that happens. Yeah, I mean, but I like where you're trying to fill in, because I think people that hate the crypto space need to hear this. Fill it in as far as a mental model. So what takes the place of quote gold? What takes the place as quote cash? What takes the place as the banker's coin? Like, fill these things in. What takes the place? If you guys really want to get crazy on the crypto thing, it's not just the currencies that matter in crypto. I mean, there's a thing called the graph, and it's a decentralized Google. I mean, it's Google decentralized, running like Ethereum on laptops all over the world, which makes sense. So what takes the place of, say, Google? What takes the place of all these? And so it's happening so fast in that space that I don't know. I'm so far past the point of like crypto's going away and it's just a bluff thing.
Well, it's also a bubble. I know we had the .com bubble, and I know it's a lot of speculation, and with people with this much conviction are holding cryptocurrencies. Mm-hmm. And I can tell when I talk to them, they tell me they're buying Doge and Shiba and all these weird things because they just know it's going to go up. Mm. They're buying it just because it's going to go up. They're not buying it for any other reason. If this goes down some more, I'm going to buy more of it, because it's a speculative bet that I'm willing to put a little bit on as it gets cheaper. Now, if it goes higher, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to let it sit. Yeah. But there's a lot of people that are that are holding cryptos that have a little bit of faith. And as soon as something happens, some kind of US ban or any little thing, they're going to dump it. And that's when I would encourage people to probably, get a little bit of it.
Yeah, I like the fact, because it's the banker's coin, I feel like it deserves a 1% weighting in any portfolio. Like, hey, I'm managing 10 grand in cash. Yeah, I think you ought to have $100 in.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What could that hurt?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I mean, I'm a big 20% silver, 30% silver. If I had money I really wanted to hold the purchasing power of, let's say I worked my entire life, sold a business, I had $10 million, and I was like, hey, I can't lose 8 of it. I just can't lose 8 of it, because I've done that twice or 2 or 3 times before now, right? I can't do it. Gold is obviously your best bet, right? Gold is probably your most.
That's the safe route,
right? But as far as speculative in that space, you've got your silver, and then in the crypto space, what do? You buy Bitcoin it's not at all-time highs, but it's still high. It's not at a 50% retracement from an all-time high. I like to buy things when they're 50% off, because I feel like, hey, they're 50% off. They're either, that's a great time to buy it. Like we saw that this year, Bitcoin went to 64,000, then went to 30,000, right? Well, at 30,000, back the truck up, right? And if you had bought at 30, you're doing pretty good at 47.50. 47, 50,000, right around there. So, XRP, it's cheap relative to its former pricing, and it has gone nowhere in the last year and a half. I mean, it really hasn't moved. Maybe a year and a half, but in the last year, it really hasn't. It's been above $1, below $1, above $1, below $1.
Well, when the investigation's over and they come up to when they get it resolved, it could go down afterwards, or it could go up afterwards, depending on what they say. And it's just a thought. It's just hey, check this out. And I might, when I start noticing I'm gonna start writing down. There's several people that used to work for the Fed that now work for Ripple. There's a lot of things tying this thing together, and I really don't feel like I'm qualified to really talk about it and go down the rabbit hole, but I'm going to be. I'm gonna try to chase this one down a little bit more, because it might be important one day.
Yeah.
Travis, we got another Zoom call to do.
I'm looking forward to this one too. This is gonna be a good one.
It's gonna be really good.
Check that one out.
Yeah. Y'all have an awesome day. I'm gonna get OnSite Trav on here more often, because he's pretty sharp on cryptocurrencies and a lot of other things as well. So have an awesome day. Thanks for coming on, Trav.
All right, thanks, man. Thank you.